We've all heard of the expression that time is money, but how many of us actually take this relationship seriously? In this video, I'm going to go through from a tech point of view, how you can save money and potentially get some of that really important time back so you can actually spend that time doing the stuff you like rather than spending the time doing the stuff that you have to do. Because after all, that's the whole point of technology, is to make our lives more efficient so we can spend more time with our families, our friends, pursuing our hobbies, relaxing, whatever you like to do. But that is the whole point of technology. So let's get on with this video. A lot of us, especially when we're younger, have a inverted, if you like to call it, concept of time and money. Basically, we think we have plenty of time, but we know that we don't have any money. So we spend all our days trying to earn as much money as possible so that we can buy the stuff we want, so we can live in a house that we want, so we can drive the car we want. It's not until later on in life, whether you're 40, 50, 60, when that relationship turns around, flips over on its head, and we start realizing that money is purely a commodity. It's an asset which allows us to live a lifestyle that we think we want. But we all know that money is a variable thing. Some years we earn more money, some years we earn less money, sometimes we spend more money, sometimes we spend less money. So our savings comes and goes, our overall assets fluctuate. But in terms of time, we know that it's a finite thing. We know that once the time is gone, we will never get it back. It doesn't matter if you're a blue-collar worker, it doesn't matter if you're an astrophysicist, it doesn't matter if you're the Prime Minister. We all have a certain number of minutes every day. And the thing is, we don't know how many days we have. We get to a certain point in our lives, especially when we see some of the stuff that happens around us, our friends, our family, people we know start to get sick, start to pass away. Then we start thinking about the importance of spending our time wisely and productively doing the stuff we want. And money kind of just becomes a tool or a vehicle to get there. And our goals are not so much trying to accumulate as much wealth as possible, but more importantly, our goal is to accumulate enough wealth so we can spend our days doing stuff we enjoy rather than stuff that we have to. And from the technology point of view, I want to give you some tips in this video to help you make a better use of your technology, make a better use of your money so that you actually can free up some time to spend it on that stuff that we mentioned, the stuff that is actually fun. These tips are not in any particular order, but I think all of them you will find useful and helpful. If you follow some of these tips, I'm pretty sure that I can help you free up a big chunk of your day so that you can actually do stuff that you want to do. Because you stumbled onto this channel, you're probably somebody who is at least in some way interested in technology. The whole point of technology is to help things become more efficient, to speed things up, so we can get rid of the mundane tasks and start focusing on stuff that we actually enjoy doing. And this is my number one tip. When it comes to technology, a lot of us, people who watch this channel, are going to be interested in what we call leading edge, or more specifically, bleeding edge technology. And what that means is we like looking at potentially buying the latest and greatest technology that comes out. How does the latest and greatest technology help us with this concept of time versus money? It does and it doesn't. When we're right up there at the forefront of technology, we basically become the beta testers for the company. So if you get the latest phone, latest camera, latest computer, latest anything, one of the inherent problems with bleeding edge technology is that they're likely to have bugs because they haven't been adequately tested. There's been no precedent. No one knows how this is going to work. And the only way, which is okay, but you just need to realize that this is the case. These technologies rely on users to provide feedback on their experience so that in future versions, in future releases, the technology becomes more efficient and the bugs get squished. The trade-off is you are spending premium amounts of money because I can guarantee you when you invest in a piece of bleeding edge technology, you're not going to get any discounts. If you go to the Apple Store on the day of release of the new iPhone, for example, you are not going to be able to get it as a discount. However, if you wait 6 months, you may be able to get 10% off or whatever, but definitely not on release day. And what's worse, like I was alluding to, on release day, there might be bugs with the operating system, there may be issues that they haven't foreseen, and you are literally beta testing this thing for Tim Cook. Yes, there are benefits of having new technology, and potentially the new iPhone, I'm using that as an example, has new features, new functionality, better battery life, faster processor, all this kind of stuff that helps enhance your everyday working. But there is likely to be issues that you are paying a premium to try and help Apple fix. If that's okay with you, that's fine. But you've got to realize that every time you get a new piece of equipment, there's a learning curve. Obviously, if you're just going from iPhone 15 to 16, there's not that much of a learning curve, but if you're getting something which potentially has a brand new operating system or brand new functionality, you are going to spend a decent amount of your time just figuring out how this technology works. For example, when I got my Insta360 X5, the learning curve of having to learn how to edit 360 video means that everything that I learned just doing linear video like this on the Osmo Pocket 3 kind of goes out the window because the editing process is a little bit different. You've got to put in keyframes and all that kind of stuff, and that takes time to learn. So you are spending this extra money getting a new piece of tech, but at the same time, you are investing more time, ironically, initially, to learn how this works, with the hope that later on, once you've learned all this stuff, you become more efficient with your workflow. So as a result, initially when you're at the bleeding edge, you're spending more money getting a premium product that may not work as well as your previous product in terms of bug-free stability, for the trade-off of getting something that might be new, and also with the potential that you've got a piece of equipment that once you work out and iron out all the problems, you're going to get a piece of equipment that helps you improve your efficiency. If you're okay with that, then bleeding edge technology is okay, but you're just going to have to bear those things in mind. And with new technology, there's always something called a sweet spot, which is a ideal kind of compromise between functionality and price. Because if you get the top of the range of anything, whether it's a car, whether it's a phone, whether it's a computer, whether it's a camera, you will notice that there's a significant jump from the base model to the average model to the premium luxury top of the line model. And the pricing is not necessarily commensurate with the level or the amount of features you get. So that's something you need to think about. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples to illustrate my point. For example, if you're in the market for an iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is the latest Apple release, it's the top of range, it's the biggest phone, it's this one here. If you're after the base model, which is a 256 gigabyte one, it goes for a whopping already $2,149 here in Australia. You double the storage from 256 to 512, you are adding another $350 to the price of the phone, so it now becomes $2,500. And if you double it again, you are adding another $350. So basically, as you go up, each time you double, you're going up by $350. Is it more worthwhile getting the 256 gig, or is it more worthwhile getting the 1 terabyte, which comes in at a whopping $2,849? So you're basically paying $3,000 for a phone. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to do that because who knows how much storage I need and I don't want to run out. My word of advice to you is, from something like this, is if you think potentially from previous experience, or if you decided that you're going to become more involved in doing videos and stuff, if you think last phone I had the 256 gig and I used 220 gigs of it, I wouldn't go back and buy the 256 gig now, because you're at the point where you may run out of storage, and that's going to become a nuisance when you have to keep moving stuff off your phone. But if you're somebody who never takes photos, never takes video, and uses your phone purely just to browse the internet, maybe make a few phone calls, do some messages, and occasionally go on social media, spending $3,000 on a phone which has 1 terabyte of storage, of which you use 100 gigabytes, is an extraordinary waste of money. People do that without realizing that this money could be better off spent doing other stuff which actually helps you earn more money for later on, like investing. Now, obviously, I'm not picking on Apple because I love Apple, but I just want to give you another example. Just say you're in the market for a MacBook Pro and you're basically just using it because you want to send in some emails, you want to browse the internet, you want to occasionally look at your Facebook account and write a few documents. My first question is, why do you need a MacBook Pro to start with? Because you could easily do the same with a MacBook Air. But assuming you go, okay, I'm going to get a MacBook Pro because I heard it's better and it's a bit faster, the screen's better, yada, 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 and you want to do that, you've got an option of starting and getting the $2,499 14-inch MacBook Pro, or you can decide to go all out and get the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is fully spec'd. So if you think about it, you start off with a 16-inch MacBook Pro and the base price is $3,999. So if you're just doing what I said you were going to do, you're spending $4,000 on a laptop. But wait, there's more. If you want to fully spec out this thing, and you can get like a nano texture display, and then you want to get a M4 chip with 16-core CPU, 40-core GPU, and 16-core Neuro engine, I'm going to click on that option. And you want to go from 48 gigabytes of unified memory to 128 gigabytes of unified memory. This thing is going to be lightning fast. You're going to be able to edit in DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro. There's going to be no stuttering. It's going to be lightning. And you want to upgrade from 1 terabyte SSD storage to 8 terabyte SSD storage, which means you never have to get external storage ever again, and you can hold the entire world's information on this computer. Basically, you've gone from $3,999, oh my God, check this out. I don't know how well you can see it. You've gone from $3,999 to $11,530. Who pays $11,530 for a laptop? Not me. So the first trick of this whole technology bizzo is to find a sweet spot for you, not only in terms of the sweet spot for price, because you will find that when you go right to the premium features, you're going to add a lot of money because no one really has it, and this stuff costs so much more. So you can try and find a sweet spot between the price and what you need. And my advice to you from previous videos, as you know, has always been to buy something which is spec'd a little bit higher than you think you're potentially going to need, not just now, but in the future. Because if you get something that's just at the limit of what you're doing right now, in 6 months, 12 months, you're going to find that you have outgrown this piece of tech, and you're going to end up buying a new one. You're going to have buyer's remorse, you're going to have regret, and you're going to end up overall spending a bigger amount of money because you've just got a mediocre machine right now, and in a year you're going to want to upgrade. But this is all with the proviso that you can afford it. I know of people who will take out loans to buy tech, and that's crazy because all tech depreciates. There is no piece of technology that you can buy, whether it's a phone, whether it's a camera, whether it's a car, that is going to be worth more money in 3 years when you don't want to use it anymore, or when you're looking at selling it, than it would be when you bought it. So taking out a loan to buy something you don't need is super insane, and I strongly advise you against doing that. And my second point, tech is supposed to enhance your efficiency, not decrease your efficiency. This thing basically is a little computer in your hand. You can pretty much do whatever you want with this. And 20, 30 years ago when I was a kid, you were probably going to have this giant computer sat there plugged in, this thing with like this big, a big tower of a computer to do exactly what you can do on this phone now. And this thing would be even faster than that. But instead of using our phone to enhance our productivity, the convenience means we spend a lot of time on our phone, on our device, doing dumb shit. We spend a lot of time surfing the internet, trying to look at stuff that we never would have done if it was more hassle. Like to find out what's happening with a celebrity, you can just Google it right now. But in the past, you'd have to actually go out and buy a newspaper and see if there's any new updates or watch some TV. But right now, you've got it at your fingertips. You can look up any celebrity news, and there you go. Once you start that, you go down this rabbit hole and you wasted 20 minutes. Similarly with social media, instead of creating content, instead of doing stuff that actually enhances our lives, we spend our day doom scrolling through social media, trying to follow celebrities, famous people you're interested in, and looking at their highlight reel, thinking, my life is not so good because I don't do any of that stuff. And all these people are doing this stuff probably because, number one, they're not spending their time scrolling through your social media, but two, it is a highlight reel, and we've become obsessed as a society to check out what other people are doing at their best of times and not realizing that is a small fraction of their lives. And thirdly, I just want to touch on the importance of AI. A lot of people are making fun of AI, but AI is so profound, the technology is so profound that it actually scares the crap out of me in some ways. Have you seen those videos on social media where they've got a video of a celebrity, an athlete, and they're saying stuff that you think they're never going to say, and it's actually done by these deep fake AI things. You've got celebrities who are like cursing and making fun of other people, and it looks like their mouths are actually moving. So in a way, you can not even tell that I am not an AI bot, and that stuff I'm saying right now, you can't even be 100% sure, it is by the way, but you can't actually be 100% sure that a computer is not saying this. And I'm actually on the lounge watching Netflix, and there's a computer that's making this video, and that's scary. Yes, there are so many benefits of AI. AI does, if used appropriately, save you time. Gone are the days where you have to literally go to the Encyclopedia Britannica to find out a piece of information. You can basically just ask Siri, and using AI, it can actually gather and retrieve the data off the web in a speed that is unimaginable. A lot of people these days just think all AI does is it allows you to plagiarize exams because you can just pull stuff off the internet, and no one knows how accurate it is because literally AI pulls information off the web and it doesn't really verify the source. But that's not what AI is. AI is designed to speed up human efficiency by helping you spend less time doing stuff than a machine is capable of doing. So I'm going to give it a go right now. I'm not sure how well it works because I've not tested this, but for example, I love following the Indiana Fever, and I want to know how many points Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Sophie Cunningham have scored during this current 2025 WNBA season, which is about just under half over. And in the past, I would have to Google each statistic, go to the WNBA website, try and find this information. But today, I'm going to see how quickly AI or ChatGPT can look up this information. So let's see. How many points have Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull scored during the 2025 WNBA season so far? And it says, would you like to use ChatGPT? And it says, working with ChatGPT. 10 seconds. As of June 2025, Caitlin Clark has averaged 18.2 points per game over 9 starts. Sophie Cunningham has averaged 5.2. And Lexi Hull has averaged 5.5 per game over 35. So that information, the internet, ChatGPT has gotten for me in less than 10 seconds, and I would still be Googling all this stuff on the WNBA website, the Indiana Fever website. So this is profound. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about, and this is just scratching the surface. People have no idea that in 10 years, 20 years, what AI is capable of, and we have already written it off. We've already assumed that everything's going to be bad. We just assumed that everyone's going to extort everybody's money because of the ability of people to do deep fakes and to imitate things. But we have to embrace technology, and AI is one of the prime examples how technology is going to help us save time. And as we have already said, time is everything. And as I conclude this video, I just want to talk about one more concept. And this is something that used to blow my mind because I was always against this. And this is using technology to save time in shopping. We all know that in the past, before all these capabilities were available, if we wanted something, for example, if I wanted to buy the Nintendo Switch 2, I would have to go to the store, meaning I'd have to get dressed, get in the car, drive to the mall, look for parking in the mall, go to the shop, hopefully it's available, pay for it, get back in the car, drive home, and then start opening it and playing with it. Today we can do that in our pajamas. And I pretty much did that a couple of weeks ago because what I did was I went on the web, looked at an electronics store near me, found that they had in stock, clicked buy, entered my credit card details, entered my address, chose a delivery option, and it was here within 2 hours. 2 hours. You think about how much time it would have taken you to have done what I said, to have a shower and all that and go drive to the mall and come back. Yeah, probably took less than 2 hours, maybe 45 minutes, an hour, depending on where you live. And for the privilege of that, I paid $10. Like I said, in the past, I would have like, no way. I would have saved the $10. I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna drive there, and I'm gonna save this $10, and I'm gonna be so happy with myself because out of the $700 that I spent or whatever, I've saved myself $10 and woo! But now I think completely opposite. Number one, I think that this way it assures me of getting one. What if I did all that stuff, drove to the mall, spent half an hour looking for parking and found that they had sold out? And apart from the amount of time that I spent doing this, what about the amount of money I spent on fuel or electric charging for my car to get to the mall? And this is all theoretically, I know, and that if you were never going to do anything productive anyway, if you're going to be sitting at home watching Netflix, I guess that hour or two is not important because it wasn't like you could be productive. But instead, I chose to pay the $10 postage, save myself all the effort, saved myself having to pay for potentially parking, fuel, charging. And I know it sounds weird, but also reduced my risk of being in a car accident on the way there. I got the product in 2 hours. I paid $10, but I spent those 2 hours editing a video, which potentially is something that I prefer to do rather than getting stuck in the mall. So the $10 was a trade-off that I was prepared to pay for the convenience, and that's what technology allows. A better example of this is groceries. Now, I've always gone and bought my own groceries until COVID, where the option of streamlined online delivery became a thing. So once in a while now, instead of having to do all that stuff I mentioned, go to the mall, I now order groceries online. Yes, there is a delivery fee, but there are options. There's the $2 delivery fee, which carries like an 8-hour window and it doesn't deliver the same day, or you can pay $14 and have the groceries delivered in the next couple of hours. I usually choose $2 because I know that I plan ahead and the stuff that I need isn't urgent and I can wait. And it doesn't really matter if it comes at midday, it comes at 4 o'clock, as long as I know somebody's at home so that the ice cream doesn't sit on the veranda and melt. But paying for that $2 saves me an hour of having to go to the grocery store. And what's more, people think you're spending the $2 or the 14 bucks on delivery into waste. But how many times do you go to a store and when you're going through the aisles, you find stuff that you don't need, but just because you're there, you end up picking up and you spend more than $14 doing dumb stuff like that. So I truly believe that the money you spend on delivery for such things as groceries and for pieces of tech where you actually can make better use of the time for not actually going there is super worth it. And sometimes, like in the example of the groceries, it actually saves you money because it stops you from having the temptation of buying other stuff just because it's there. Why do you think supermarkets pull all these fancy treats by the cash registers? Because people, as they're lining up, and they're waiting for their 10 minutes to get there, they go, ooh, cheap chocolate bars, I'm gonna get some of those. And by the time you know it, you've spent an extra 15 bucks on chocolate anyway, which you don't need. It's gonna make you fat, so you might as well stay home. So I think in conclusion that we can all agree that there's a lot of stuff about tech which helps us bring our lives back into a state where we're in a position where we can spend more time doing the stuff that we wanna do rather than the stuff that we have to do. And sometimes the premium on that is not necessarily too big for us to consider it. I don't know about you. For me, these days, time feels like it's everything. Every minute I spend doing stuff that I don't want to do makes me feel sick. And every minute that I get to spend doing the stuff I want to do, whether it's with my family, with Oreo, making these videos because it's something I'm passionate about, playing on the Nintendo Switch, going for a walk, doing some exercise, that stuff is worth way more to me than a couple of bucks. And if technology helps me to do that more often because it speeds up my workflow, I have to be in a position where I realize that I can't waste my time doing dumb stuff on technology, like doom scrolling, like spending extraordinarily amounts of time doing stuff like trying to make the wallpaper on my phone look the best. I think it's worth it. I hope you found some good ideas in this video, and I hope that it stimulates the way you're thinking about technology and how the relationship between time and money is so vital. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next week in another video. In the meantime, have a great week. Bye.